Class is in session, your most unconventional class. She talks all things, all subjects. It's the Interdisciplinary Podcast. Hosted by your favorite doctor, this is What's the Say with Dr. Kymrae.
Yes, so we are just here. We're sitting here right now with a man. This young man is he's known as Travis P. Jackson to a lot of people, but to me, he's a friend, and he is a leader in the community, and he's doing a lot of amazing things as it relates to HBCUs. Now, what's an HBCU? An HBCU is a historically Black college and university. And today, so I just want to introduce you to this guy here who's sitting with me, Mr. Travis P. Jackson. He is the CEO of HBCU Pride Nation, and that's like an engaging online platform that kind of works with approximately like 250,000 followers. And you promote what? Connectivity, significance to, and the pride of HBCUs, and to increase positive awareness and enrollment, right? Is that correct?
Yes,
what HBCU
yes,
Pride Nation is?
Yes, Dr. Kymrae.
And so HBCU Pride Nation, though, it's a like social media platform, right? And so it basically it acts on impressions. And so therefore you're kind of an analyst. You're a social media analyst as well, because you're looking at like how to engage with people and young folks to, kind of get them more active and understanding about the importance and the relevance of HBCUs. Yeah.
Yes.
That is so dope. And so in addition to that, my man, Travis P, he's also received a lot of accolades, right? Received top 30 under 30 for the African-American entrepreneurs in Charlotte.
Yep, by Black Chamber of Commerce.
The Black Chamber of Commerce. And then you got top 30 under 30 by HBCU Buzz, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. And then I think you also were like some emergent leader of the year for who?
For National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame.
You better say that louder, because that's a big deal.
National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame. and then last year I was top 25 Black entrepreneurs by the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce as well.
What? Oh wow, I didn't know that part. That's dope. That's something else to add. So some of the companies that you work for, tell us, like you've worked for, HBCU Pride Nation has been a social media marketing service provider for like a Cracker Barrel, a Celebration Bowl.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel, Celebration
Toyota.
Bowl.
Honda. And Honda, Battle of the Bands, Ford, the CIAA.
So many brands. You said the Celebration Bowl as well, and then we did some things with UNCF as well, and a couple of other. Yeah.
Awesome. The other thing is you've actually had a spot on TV1, haven't you? You've been on TV, cable. We got you
on cable. On cable.
The Sister Circle. Right, that was a show. Circle. So you kind of talked about, the same kind of things that you're doing in the community and things like that. What was your conversation like there?
The conversation was about what is HBCU Pride Nation, what is the Hillman Experience, why do I love HBCU so much, and it was around the time, it was homecoming week for them. So. Yes,
right. And then my brother, now you not only have done all of this, right, all of these accolades, but now, here recently, one of your latest new endeavors is that you've engaged in politics. Now, politics, do we want to call it politics, though?
I like to say community leadership. That's what I like to say. And I was still doing social media. So I was a social media manager for James Smudgy Mitchell, who's city council at large, and then also helping our community officials understand how to utilize social media to reach their demographics, to reach their audiences, etc.
Wow. Yeah. So you've tapped into a lot of like different areas as it relates to social media marketing. So you although you're like, your main platform is HBCUs, your like talent and major like career platform is social media and
social
marketing.
media.
Yeah. And
Even when
so
you
I
look
know
at
that you got your bachelor's and degrees in, you know, mass communication, and you studied concentration in
public relations.
Public relations. Yes.
Yeah.
So it all aligns, really, you know, like now you're getting into that public service side, outside of just like volunteering and serving your community from your own capacity. So I think that is so dope. I'm so out of breath just talking about how amazing you are.
You got to say the school though. You got to say the school that I got my degree from.
What's your HBCU that you're
the
so
illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
And
yes,
and
Aggie
we say
Pride.
What? Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
I'm a double Aggie too, so I that's how we met, and through our HBCU being the A&T, A&T State University. So I am overwhelmed to have you with me on my first episode of this first season of What's to Say with Dr. Kymrae. And so I want to get right into it because you've clearly have the expertise, the experience that this show is trying to bring on. And so Travis being my first guest, I want to ask you this. Tell us how all of the experiences that we just talked about, you know, all your accomplishments before you're literally even 30 years old, before you're even 30. How do you feel about that being your journey, and what's like, you know, kind of like what you can share about your journey as it relates to being in HBCUs and to where you are today in your career and your path and even your passion today?
When we talk about my journey, my HBCU started my journey, and while I was at A&T, I was involved in SGA. I was vice president of student government, but I always had a way to connect and relate to other people. And even my freshman year, what I did, I went on campus the first week of freshman week, and I knocked on every door, right? Knocked on every door on the campus, knocked on every administration door, everybody.
Yes.
And I needed people to understand who I was, and that was me as a young man.
Wow.
And then and all the things that I've done ever since has just been a culmination of that. But it's been the same strategy, which I'm starting to realize that the way that I network, the way that I connect with people, people see it as a skill. Yes. When I see it as a gift. Like it's just like that's what I do.
It's who you are.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
And I do it because I want people to understand that I'm here to serve first and foremost. Yeah. That I'm here to help make you better. Mm-hmm. And I'm a real big energy person.
Yes.
So being able to be around the right energy. Yes. Sometimes it's been doors that I've knocked on, and I've been around people and they ended up not being the right people that I needed at that time. But sometimes you got to be able to understand when it's time to cut and let go. Mm-hmm. As well as I even moved to Miami after I graduated from college.
Yay!
And I was there, but I was still networking. I was still connecting.
Right.
The CEO of the nonprofit organization wanted me to be their personal social media manager. And back then, like 2012. Yeah. And I think it's about being authentic. I think it's about understanding who you're talking to. And I think it's also about not trying to do everything, but being great at one or three things. Yeah. Like for me, it's about the youth.
What are your three things?
It's about the youth, social media. No, matter of fact, it's the youth, Black people, HBCUs, through the use of social media.
Yes. You got to be able to reach them. Yeah.
You got to be able to reach them, and also teach them as well.
And teach
because social media is way more than posting.
Yes,
it's reading your analytics. It's creating your content.
And the content that you put on your page, you know, is it's relevant on a day-to-day and throughout the day. You don't just post once a day; you post several times a day. So it's all got to be on point, on time, and maybe even thinking one step ahead, right?
One step ahead. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, like just now. We just sold 100 Black Lives Matter mask
Oh, wow.
In 15 minutes.
What?
On social
Wow.
media.
Wow. And it's not even Juneteenth when, everybody's been saying that they want to, but I guess you have to purchase in advance so that you're prepared for Juneteenth too,
No,
But,
like the mask about to be at my door today for me to ship out.
wow. Well, how come you ain't tell me about these? I ain't get no Black Lives Matter mask.
Dr. Kymrae, I'm telling you now, Dr. Kymrae.
Oh, okay. Well, you got extras then.
Yeah, but I'll let you know when the second batch ready.
Oh, okay. Cool. So let me ask you this though. So this is like the most, like you probably hear this question all the time. So it's probably an easy answer, but I think we want to start out with this. Like, what makes an HBCU relevant? We're sitting here talking about, Black Lives Matter today. But HBCUs have been around for obviously back before we could even go to a predominantly or traditionally, as I call them, white institution. And so, obviously HBCUs were needed back then. But so the question then becomes, are they still relevant today? But now we're talking about Black Lives Matter today, which is a whole nother subject. But what's your take on the value in an HBCU today? And is an HBCU even offering like high level degrees? Like, are they, when I say high level, I don't mean like a PhD or a master's. I mean like, a noteworthy degree, or, a current degree, one that is not like completely out of touch with what's happening now and in the next 5 to 10 years. You want your degree to kind of not be obsolete when you graduate. So, what's your take on HBCUs, and are they providing appropriate experience, based on your experience? You haven't been a long time graduate from the undergrad program there at your HBCU A&T. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how are they relevant?
I'm about to go on 10 years graduated from A&T. Wow.
10 years?
10 years.
I take that back, man. You getting old. You catching up.
I'm 31. So
wow. That's true. You did all that before you were 30, but you're 31 now.
Yeah. So with the relevance of HBCUs today, HBCUs and their impact made people ready for what's going on today.
Right.
When you speak of the civil rights movement, when you speak of the 1800s and while slavery was going on, it was a man named Richard Humphreys that donated $10,000 acres and some money to create the Institute for the Colored Youth, which is now Cheney University of Pennsylvania, which was established in 1837. And then also,
but they always kind of argue about Cheney and
Lincoln
and Wilberforce being the first to like which one was first, and then
Lincoln Wilberforce, Lincoln University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but that wasn't the first.
That's the battle. It's the
Lincoln, battle is between Wilberforce and Cheney.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not, Dr. Kymrae.
I'm gonna look that one up.
Yeah. So it's a battle between the established 1837 and then Lincoln University of Pennsylvania being the first HBCU to grant degrees in 1854.
Okay.
And then Wilberforce University being the first privately owned HBCU by Black people.
Right.
So that's always been the battle.
So where has Lincoln and Cheney been there?
Because they're both in Pennsylvania. Okay. And there's also Lincoln likes to say that they were the first one to grant degrees to African Americans. Therefore, they were the first HBCU.
Okay.
But when it comes to the establishment of HBCU institutions, Cheney University was established first.
Look, he's giving us some history, man, because this is like really something that people talk about, just like they talk about the first HBCU college football game between Livingstone College and Johnson C. Smith, who won, who didn't win, and it's still up in the air about who really won.
Yeah.
Well, it was Biddle Institute at that time, not Johnson C. Smith at that time.
Yeah. And then when you think about just the contributions of those that attended HBCUs, Dr. King, Nikki Giovanni, you had Thurgood Marshall, Stokely Carmichael, Mary McLeod Bethune, and everything that they left here for us, they left a blueprint. for us to be able to walk through right now. And then when you also think about the athletes from past and now, you have some athletes that are top 100 recruits that are going into a transfer portal, going from PWI to a HBCU. Then you think about even in the state of Virginia, there's a black HBCU grad that owns the biggest black-owned beauty supply store, and she's a woman. And you just think, and there's so many spaces where HBCUs dominate. And even when we think about the power of the degrees, over 50% of African American professionals graduated from historically black colleges and universities. From your judges, from your medical workers, to healthcare, to educators, to entrepreneurs. Even the chairman of Microsoft, he's a FAMU grad. And then you have the CEO of Sam's Club that went to Spelman. And then you have just so much. And even to professional sports, you have a lot of HBCU grads that's doing major things and winning awards. And it's HBCU. You to sum it up, Dr. Kymrae, you can't talk about the United States of America or the world, even to the point that the first president of Ghana, Africa, went to Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, and Albert Einstein taught some classes at Lincoln. You can't talk about the world without talking about the contributions of those that attended HBCUs.
Awesome. That leads me into my question about even like that. So I know you and I were kind of posting about this on our social media platforms, and that these young folks, you know, as it pertains to Black Lives Matter today and what we're talking about, and how how passionate and intense we are right now about what's going on in our nation and the changes that we are seeking and that are slowly, you know, gradually happening. Arguably. And so how would you, because we've talked about how these athletes, you know, these young men, these young Black boys and girls, when they're going off to college, you know, like if we can establish a new rapport with our HBCUs as it relates to or not a new rapport, but more pouring back into, you know, the HBCU athletics and looking at giving them a second and third look, as well as a first look now, you know, to you know, playing sports at HBCUs versus going to that traditionally white institution that's, you know, D1 or whatever. And HBCUs are Division I, you know, we know that, but I'm just referring to, you know, like how they might take a different deal instead of coming back home, you know, to an HBCU school to shine and show out and put our name, our institutions on the map. So, you know, I know we talked about that, about some young men. Is that like trending now? Like what's happening in social media as it relates to young men and women athletes, or that are they, you know, talking about going back to these institutions now because of what's happening in our nation?
Yes, they are. So you remember, I think Monet Davis. Monet Davis, she was as a young girl, she was one of the first pitchers. She was the first female pitcher to do a perfect game or something like that, I think. And she attends Hampton University right now. And then you have the number one point guard, Mikey Williams, that straight up told them that I'm considering going to a HBCU. And I understand that the narrative is that Black talent go to predominantly white institutions. And let's speak about just that, right? When it comes to predominantly white institutions, the way that they get our talent is they promote the greater quality of a facility, the greater quality of a coaching staff, the greater quality of so much. They give you so much money, etc. But Mikey Williams, as a high school senior, I believe, said that we are the ones that make the money for all these schools when it comes to advertising dollars, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to just the prestigiousness of it. And he said, because of the climate that we're in, that we need to start considering HBCUs and going back to HBCUs, because when you think about the historical relevance of sports, when it pertains to HBCUs,
Yes.
HBCUs used to dominate PWIs.
Absolutely.
Winston-Salem State University, the CIAA, Big House Games, Shannon Sharp, that's on Undisputed, went to Savannah State University. And did you even know, Dr. Kymrae, that the first black NBA player went to a HBCU?
Really?
Named Earl Lloyd from Kentucky State University.
Wow. KSU, they call it.
KYSU.
KYSU. Yeah, that's what it is.
Wow. So now there's so much support that's coming back to HBCUs.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very beautiful thing.
Do you think that we could possibly, I mean, because when I put this some of these articles out there about these athletes, and I was wondering if it's possible, and people were saying it's no way possible and things like that, and I was like, well, if we really get behind the movement, like if the heavy hitters, the Oprahs, the Jay-Z's, the P. Diddy's, and even these athletes that went to these institutions that ended up being professional athletes or playing overseas in some way where they could pour back into the HBCU that they either went to or that they have some affiliation or affinity to, do you think that it's possible for us to literally flip it back to the beginning, like the foundation, the original?
Most definitely. And when it comes to the marketing and advertising of a HBCU, we can't just wait on admissions counselors to do it. That's
right. Grassroots.
It has to be grassroots. And there's a movement that I can't quite speak on right now that's being developed that I'm a part of.
Wow.
That's going to assist with that. And even to the power of HBCU Pride Nation.
Yes.
The way that we've been able to develop and promote HBCUs and mobilize a lot of high school students and their parents. They thank us because we pushed them to go to a HBCU. Yeah. And sometimes even high school students, they hit us to speak to their parents on the phone.
Dude, it's no experience like it. So I want you to tell the people a little bit about your Hillman Experience. Like, what is this Hillman Experience event that you host, and how does that put HBCUs more on the map and mobilize and get everybody understanding more about why we need to support our HBCUs?
So the Hillman Experience derives from a different world. Yes. Hillman College. When Hillman College,
it's COVID now.
Right. Okay, Dr. Kymrae. Hillman College and the show A Different World tripled enrollment for historically black colleges and universities in the 90s.
Yeah.
However, the episodes and the basis on which they were created still exist today. So understanding that and understanding that my goal is to merge the intergenerational gap of HBCU graduates of yesterday and prospective HBCU students of today, I developed the Hillman Experience. So I basically transform urban high schools into Hillman College. Yeah. And we have panel discussions. We have pet rally. We have HBCU restricted college fair, where like 50 HBCUs come and admit students on the spot.
Wow.
And
you waive you get them to waive the application fee and stuff like that sometimes? Wow.
And over the past like 3 years, because we haven't done it in a while, but it's coming back.
That's so impactful. That is so life-changing.
And think about it like this, because you lived in Charlotte.
Absolutely.
We did it at West Charlotte High School, and it about brought me to tears, right? Because of the fact that I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my God, we're doing this event on Bates Ford Road, where some students don't even know what college look like.
That's right.
But these students can come to my event that I'm putting on, and I lie to you not, that day that they came to the event, it was like $1.5 million in scholarships that was awarded to these students in one day.
Y'all hear that? $1.5 million in scholarships. This man right here had at his event. Wow.
Yeah.
That's just truly changing, like life changing. Wow.
Ooh. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So okay, because I know we're the clock is ticking. So I want to ask you as far as the I heard a lot about this Operation HBCU 103. Like what was the concept behind that, and like was it more of like a let's get everybody amped up on social media about HBCUs that you came up with
Wow,
the concept?
wow, I haven't done that in a while either. Look at you! You better talk. So Operation HBCU 103. I took 103 straight days to highlight every HBCU and create content around who is the president, what is the mascot, what is the history, who is the SGA president, the whole nine.
Wow.
And we did it for 103 straight days.
Yes.
And the kicker is that it increased our engagement by 30,000 in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means that like you literally know the recipe to build somebody's brand by engagement on social media too, then, right? I mean, I know we said that earlier, but this really makes it hit home to those that don't quite understand what you do and what your expertise and skill set is and your talent. Yeah. That's awesome. And that's how you're able to connect with the young people, right? You know, that are thinking about going to college, or even the non-traditional students that might be, you know, trying to figure out what college they want to go to because they didn't get to go to college right out of high school. So yeah, it's all about that too.
And it's also about understanding that everybody wants their story told.
Yeah.
The more that you tell someone's story, the more that support comes to you.
Right. Absolutely. That's your testimony, and then yeah, it's feeding and then giving and then receiving, not without looking to be receiving anything. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So then knowing what we've kind of talked about and things like that, what would be your biggest piece of advice to leave these young people with or non-traditional students to like what if they're listening today right now, which we know that we have some listeners in here today that are of that age. So what would you say to them about selecting an HBCU? Like I know we kind of touched on it, but do you have like any advice as it relates to them directly?
Every big HBCU isn't for everyone. Every small HBCU isn't for everyone. Do your research, and also follow these institutions on social media, so because you have even more access to the people.
Wow,
now
that's good.
And then also send emails to your potential professors, your HBCU president, your admissions counselor, and build relationships before you even get accepted.
Right. I see. Okay. So you do your own research. It's kind of like, you know, we're talking about get out and vote to make some change in our community. It's the same thing when it deals with your life, you know. When you look for a job, you go and you research the company. You just don't say, oh, I'm going to go apply for any job that I see that is hiring, right? You look for the company that is going to be a good fit for you. You don't make them be the decider. So it's the same thing with education, right?
Yeah, even to the point of like 2 days ago, did you know that the first successful black fashion model in the world went to HBCU?
No, I don't think I knew that. But who are you referring to?
She's from Wiley College. I have Wiley College.
Okay.
And just being able to study, like even some of the first politicians, like the first, I think, the first black mayor of Baltimore went to a HBCU and went to Coppin State. Like there's so many firsts from HBCUs.
Yes, absolutely. So you can be one too, because there's a lot of areas that have not been tapped into, like you just were saying about the first who did you say that just did something recently, and they were the first, and they're young, like they just did it. As I can't even think of who we just talked about, because we talked about so many people.
Yeah, we did.
So let me ask you this then. What else do we need to know before we go as far as HBCUs? And I'm gonna tell you to tell the people how to find you and things like that. But what do we need to know before, like we get to that part? Like one last thing that maybe I didn't touch on, or, you know, that you feel like we need to know that's important about HBCUs that maybe I haven't discussed with you today?
If you sleep on HBCUs, you're sleeping on yourself. It's time to wake up.
It's time to wake up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to wake up.
Yeah. And
that's the best way to sum it up.
We can definitely, I love it. It's deep, it's moving, it's profound, because you don't have to say a whole lot to mean a whole lot. And that meant a whole lot. And I think that we can, you know, shed some light that these institutions do really matter. It's just as important or as imperative as, you know, Black Lives Matter. And we're not saying that white or other people are not invited to or be a part of the HBCU experience, but we cannot lose the history and the legacy that HBCUs has brought to, you know, our community and our own society. So it's important. Education, the last thing I want to say as it relates to higher education and HBCUs specifically, and the Black community, is that we are obviously in a different period right now with the whole Black Lives Matter movement really taking over. And, you know, it's not just about police brutality, the issues that we're dealing with today. We are dealing with systematic racism. And as it relates to a higher education, you know, we have a bigger and more conversation that we could talk about in the next episode, right, Travis? You know, where the education itself is, you know, at a halt for a lot of young people today because of the price, the cost. It's inaccessible, and it's you know, it's unaffordable, and so it's an opportunity to kind of learn and see, you know, like you said, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But the experience might be for most people, the experience. You know, sometimes you don't come out, most of the time we don't come out with using the degrees that we've gotten in our undergrad, although I think you are, but someone like me did not necessarily, I didn't end up using the degree that I originally got. And that's data, that's numbers, you know, say that happens to a lot of people. And so with that said, you know, it's I wouldn't take anything from my experience though. You know, my college experience was, it develops you, you know, into an adult.
The greatest thing in the world. The best 4 years of your life.
Right on. And I think yours were even better because you were at the North Carolina A&T State University for undergrad. Whereas I
also just getting involved. When you go to college, get involved.
Yeah. You make it. College is what you make it. You know, you can end up like saying this is too much, it's too hard. But if you really engage with your professors, even, or your colleagues, your fellow students, your cohort, whatever you want to call them, you know, things can really shape up for you. You can overcome. I mean, because we can talk about this all day about how much I cried about different assignments that I had in undergrad and was ready to just call it a day, you know, and I had great motivators to keep me motivated. But, you know, it's definitely the experience that I want to like tap into and just share that is important for your development as a person, you know, your 360 degrees of development into that self-awareness, self-actualization point, Maslow's hierarchy. But where can we find you, big little brother? Where can we find you? Big little brother, that's what I'm gonna call you.
My name is Travis P. Jackson. You can find me at I am Travis P. Jackson and at HBCU Pride Nation.
Okay.
My name is I am Travis P. Jackson.
He is Travis P. Jackson, and so that's why you can find him
Kymrae.
I am Travis P. Jackson. Yes, so I enjoyed this so much with you today. I don't want to hold you or my listeners any longer, but we had a great conversation, and it was a great first episode for me. I have to admit, a little bit nervous, but I have this encore presentation of an interview that you and I had, Travis, a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, you know, HBCUs as well, but from my perspective and my experience and my you know, history. And you were interviewing me, Right. So I'm going to bless the listeners with an encore interview with a little bit different conversation because it was about me and my story versus Travis and his story, which we have two very different stories, but we still have the same passion for HBCUs and pride as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And be sure to look out for that encore presentation. Thank you so much, Travis P., for checking in with me today. And we will be in touch. And I definitely want my Black Lives Matter mask, too. Don't forget about me.
All right, girl.
Oh, and I need those new HBCU Pride hats, right? Mine's on the way, right? I ordered the black one that you got. Those just dropped a few days ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I already got mine on the way. Y'all better get yours. All right,
yes,
Travis.
man.
Peace
All right,
out.
Dr. Kymrae. All right, love you too.
Peace.
Bye.